There is a fire that awakens within a man when he chooses semen retention. It is a primal, sacred blaze, untamed and uncontainable. It sharpens his mind, energizes his body, and awakens his soul. But in the silence of his awakening, he begins to feel the resistance around him. Society grows uncomfortable. The church grows silent. Why? Because both fear the fire you are cultivating. Not the fire of destruction, but the fire of self-possession, the fire of sovereign masculinity. And that fire, born from semen retention, is dangerous to every system that profits from your powerlessness. Let's begin with the essence. Semen retention is not just about abstaining from physical release. It is the conscious conservation of your life force. It is energy transmuted, not wasted. When you stop releasing your seed aimlessly, you begin to glow with intensity. Your aura shifts. Your eyes pierce. Your presence deepens. You are no longer a man easily seduced, distracted, or enslaved. You become magnetic and immovable. And therein lies the threat. Society thrives on passive men. The modern world wants you to be plugged into distraction, drained by lust, and obedient to consumption. The moment you stop indulging and start retaining, you step out of the cycle of weakness and into the cycle of strength. That makes you dangerous. Not because you intend harm, but because you reclaim the authority over your own biology. They do not fear your aggression. They fear your clarity. They fear the stillness in your eyes when you can sit with your urges and not be mastered by them. They fear the man who no longer needs external permission to feel whole. They fear the man who has discipline, because that kind of man is uncontrollable. From billboards to browser ads, from pop culture to pornography, every layer of society is engineered to keep you sedated in pleasure and empty of power. Sex is not just commodified, it is weaponized. The average man is encouraged to chase orgasm like a drug, not realizing that each release chips away at his core vitality. What would happen if millions of men stopped chasing and started containing? What would happen if men stopped handing over their energy and began directing it toward purpose? A retained man is not the same man anymore. He walks with posture. He speaks with conviction. He listens deeply. He sees through lies. He stops worshiping women and starts honoring his own essence. That man doesn't spend impulsively. He doesn't scroll for hours. He doesn't submit to shallow authority. He starts building, creating, leading. Society fears that fire because it threatens the entire matrix of male mediocrity. Now, turn your gaze to the church, a place meant to preserve holiness and elevate the spirit. Why has it been so silent on this sacred fire called semen retention? In ancient times, spiritual warriors, mystics, and monks practiced celibacy and retention as a path to divine power. They knew that semen was more than fluid. It was spiritual gold. It held creative intelligence, generational potency, divine connection. But over time, the church stopped teaching men how to channel that power. Instead, it preached guilt without wisdom. It taught shame without instruction. Rather than exalting semen retention as a spiritual discipline, many churches framed sexual energy as a sin to fear, rather than a gift to transmute. In doing so, they buried the masculine fire under religious fear. The very power that could lead men to God was reduced to something they must run from. They fear your fire not because it is sinful, but because it is liberating. A man on retention does not need constant approval. He does not fear judgment. He carries his altar within. He becomes his own priest, his own prophet, his own temple. The church's silence becomes a strategy. Keep men obedient, but not powerful. What happens to organized religion when men awaken to the divine within themselves? What happens when they realize that their seed is sacred, that their discipline is divine, that their body is a temple housing the Creator's fire? That fire doesn't need middlemen. It doesn't need pews. It doesn't need permission. It only needs reverence and direction. The fire is not to be feared, but mastered. Semen retention is not about suppression. It is not about fear of the feminine or rejection of pleasure. It is about mastery. It is about becoming so grounded in your masculine nature that pleasure no longer owns you. You own it. You decide when. You decide how. You are not enslaved by craving. And because you are free from the addiction to release, you become intensely present. Women feel it. Men notice it. Enemies sense it. Your words carry weight. Your gaze holds worlds. You become a mirror, showing others where they have compromised their own fire. That is what society and the church both fear. A man who sees clearly and speaks boldly. A man who knows he doesn't have to chase validation or approval. A man whose spiritual power is intact. A world built to extinguish your flame. When you look around, understand that the system is built like a damp forest, trying to smother every spark before it becomes a flame. You are told that lust is normal, that watching pornography is harmless, that ejaculating daily is healthy. Lies. Lies repeated long enough become culture. Why do you think masculinity is under attack? Why do you think young men are lost, passive, confused, and weak? Because they've been cut off from their essence. Their fire was never fed. Their seed was never honored. Their energy was never directed. A man without fire is a man easily programmed. A man with fire is a man who reshapes reality. Let's be honest. Your presence on this path will offend people. Your glow will trigger insecurity. Your discipline will expose others' distractions. When you speak of retention, they'll mock you. When you radiate focus, they'll call you extreme. When you say no to meaningless pleasure, they'll call you uptight. But don't shrink. Your fire is not for comfort. Your fire is for transformation. The world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs more burning men. And every burning man becomes a walking revolution. They fear your fire because it reminds them of what they've lost. Their own. You, on the other hand, have reclaimed it. You must do what society never trained you to do. Hold your fire without burning out. Retention is not about celibacy for the sake of pride. It is about cultivating energy for divine purpose. It's not about mere abstinence. It's about alchemy. Transmute your fire into vision. Transmute your fire into discipline. Transmute your fire into leadership. Build businesses. Build families. Build nations. Write, speak, create, move. Let your fire pour into the earth through your hands and heart, not spill wastefully from your loins. Make every drop count. You are not less of a man for holding your seed. You are more of a man because of it. You are no longer a consumer of life. You are now its co-creator. The fire must keep burning. Remember, they fear your fire because it cannot be taxed, tamed, or televised. It cannot be packaged or sold. It is wild, sacred, ancient, divine. Now your mission is to protect it, to guard it, to feed it the right thoughts, the right habits, the right environment. Surround yourself with men who also burn. Walk away from conversations that extinguish. Say no to anything that dims your glow, because the world doesn't just fear your fire. The world needs it. And one man burning bright is enough to light the way for 1,000 others. Keep burning. Subscribe. Thanks.